Hey guys, welcome on in. We are into Photoshop tutorial number 3 today, and today we're going to be learning a little bit more about layers, some advanced masking techniques. We're going to be learning about blending modes, and then additionally we're going to learn about clipping adjustments. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. At this point in time in Google Classroom, there are a couple different images that I'll need you to download for us to follow along with our tutorial today. There is a photo of a man looking out a window. There is a photo of the planet Earth. And then there is a photo of moisture on a window. And we're going to utilize all three of these images to make a realistic, surreal window scene. Okay. Now, surreal, what I mean by that is kind of a fantasy. We're going to have, we'll get into it. I don't want to ruin the whole thing. But bit by bit, you'll see where we're going with this. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up Photoshop. Here I have Photoshop 2021. Those of you using laptops, you also should have the same one. In the classroom, you're using 2020. With what we're doing today, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference. So very rarely will you actually see a difference between the two. So first thing we're going to do though is we're going to open up a photo. So I'm going to hit open. And the photo that I'm looking for is this photo here of this man looking out a window. Okay. So I'm going to hit open. And there we go. Now it is a little bit of a smaller image. I'm going to move my video up here. I think that's a good spot for it for now, because we're going to be using our layers quite a bit. We're going to be using our adjustments quite a bit, not so much using the color window there. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to zoom in. Again, I can quickly zoom in holding down Alt and using my mouse wheel. If you don't have that available to you, you have a lot of different options for actually zooming in, including the view and then zooming in here with that. Okay, control plus plus, control plus minus. There you go, all kinds of good stuff. But we just want to zoom in. We want the window to take up the entirety of my screen here. Okay, what I'm really focused on is I want both panes of glass to be fully visible on my screen at this very point in time. Okay, and I'll show you why in just a moment. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to actually remove the city scene that the man's looking out at. Okay, and we want to do that through a mask. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to I'm going to choose my polygonal lasso tool. Okay, it's the third tool down. If you right click, you may see a lasso tool, but if you right click that, we're going to choose the polygon lasso tool. Okay. And this is going to allow us to actually just kind of click. You can see that when I click, it creates an anchor. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a selection of that window. Now, to keep straight lines, if you hold down the Shift button on your keyboard, it will give you some straight lines on that. I'm going to have it a little bit offset because it looks like there's a little bit of a little bit of a curve to that window. So I'm going to click, set another anchor. I'm going to come in here, click again at the edge of the man's body, and this is where things are going to get a little bit more interesting. What we're going to try and do is we're going to try and click around his body here. Now you can try quick selection on this if you'd like, with the cityscape also being kind of that grayish color. You might have some issues with it. That's just why I like the polygon tool here. Now, if you do make any mistakes, we can quickly fix those, but we just want to give this a shot. And again, every time that you click, you're just setting a new anchor. So we're going to go all the way around this guy's head. Click, click, click. Okay. There we go. All the way around. Oh, I went too far. Dang it. Can I control Z that? No, I can't. That didn't work at all. All right. I'm going to undo and I'm going to try again. I went too far down. I got carried away and just kept on going. So I'm going to probably edit this and play this part in fast motion. Through the magic of video editing. Okay, now I'm going to stop at the bottom of the window. There we go. Straight across, there, straight up. So there. Now you see this little drop down here from the top of the window. We're just going to cut that out. There's no reason to save that. Oops, wrong button. And again, shift to do a straight line all the way across. And there we go. Okay. Now, don't click anything at this point. What we want to do is we want to continue adding to the selection. Okay. Because we're going to choose the top layer as well. So again, we're going to hold down. Actually, we want to make sure that we are adding to our selection. So we're going to click this one, make sure that one's clicked. And then we're going to do the same thing over again. Click. Click. And same thing with the little handles. We don't need those. It's not going to make or break our photo, so we can just cut them out. This one's a whole lot easier. We're just doing a square all the way around. And there we go. We have our two selections. Okay. Now, at this point in time, what we want to do is we want to apply a layer mask to that selection. Okay. So to do that, just double check it. If we click this button right here and we say apply layer mask, it did the wrong thing. Okay. So I'm going to control Z. What we want to do is we want to go up to select at the top menu. We want to hit inverse. So that way, everything that's selected will not be selected, and everything that isn't selected will be selected. So it's just flip-flopping our selections here. So I'm going to hit inverse, and what that's going to do is that's going to select everything else. Okay. Now, if I hit layer mask, it's going to hide what's not selected, which is just going to be those window panes. And there we go. Okay. Now, at this point in time, if you want to, you can zoom in on your mask here. If we actually click on the mask, you'll actually notice over here on the picture on the right-hand side and the bottom, this black and white photo is our mask. Okay. Everything that's colored black in this is hidden, and everything that's colored white is showing through. Now, you can actually edit that mask while with your brush tool. So if we go to our brush tool here, okay, and we see that we have black and white selected. If you don't have black and white selected, you can click this little inlay here, okay? And then, so we have white on top, black on the bottom. If you hit X on your keyboard, it'll flip-flop those, okay? So black will be on the top, white on the bottom, okay? I'm gonna change my brush size. Again, we talked about a few different ways to do that in our last tutorial. Hopefully you remember that. And whatever we paint black will disappear from our photo. So for example, if for some reason I made a huge mistake here and I left too much of his ear, I could paint that out, okay? And again, remember, if you do too much, if you make a mistake, Control Z is gonna be your best friend, okay? So I would just go around your selection and just using your brush and your black color here, just go around, just clear up any edges that might look a little funky. If you paint it in white, it's going to bring it back. So again, if I hit X on my keyboard, I flip to painting with white. And if I wanted to bring back something, I could do that too, okay? Control Z, I'm not gonna do that. Just go ahead, clean up your selection. I think it looks pretty good. Okay. There we go. So this is going to be the basis of our photo. Anything else that we put into this photo, we're going to try and put into that window, that blank window frame. So it looks like the man's looking out at it, okay? A couple different ideas here. We're going to use space here for the tutorial. But if you want to use like an aquarium, so it looks like he's underwater, or any city or landscape or anything else that you want him to look at, you can actually just slap that in that window, okay? So it's a pretty good frame to start with here. So anyway, that's what we're gonna do next is we are going to go File, Open, and we're gonna go open up the picture of Earth, okay? Not flat earthers, we're gonna choose the picture of Earth there. Okay, so we have our picture of Earth. Again, we've done this a couple different times where we've taken photos from other options or other we've taken layers from other photos and brought them in here. Now, what you can do, and this works most of the time, is if you click on the little layer down here, click and drag and hover it over here, and then just drop it there, and it should slap its way in there, okay? Now, that's pretty big. I'm gonna hit Control T on my keyboard so that I can resize it. Okay. And for my photo, I'm going to flip it upside down. Again, when you're using Control T, if you're just hovering over the corner, you'll see a little curved arrow. If you click and drag that, you can spin it all around. Okay. Now, if you hold down Shift while you're doing that, it'll make sure that you have it at so it's straight on your photo. Okay. So I'm going to go upside down with it. There we go. Now, what we've learned before at this point is with our layers, we know that if something's further up on our layer, it will be further up in our photo. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the man layer up above the Earth so the Earth shows in that window. Okay, there you go. Now, at this point in time, if you want to make some changes to that Earth layer, we just need to click on it. We can go to Adjustments. You can do hue, saturation, you do color balance. For myself, I'm going to look at curves. And this just basically allows you to adjust the different highlights and mid-tones and colors coming from that photo. But if all you need to do is just click along the curve, and you can move things around and just adjust it the way that you like it, okay? You can also do things separately by color, but for right now, let's stick with RGB just so you're changing all the colors at once. I like that. It's not very overpowering. It's not putting off too much light. I think that's going to work for us just fine. Now, what we want to do is we don't want that to affect the photo of our man here. We want it to just attach itself to the layer with the Earth, okay? So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and click. If we right click our layer with our curves or anything that you changed, if we hit create clipping mask, it's going to attach itself to the layer directly below it, and it's not going to affect anything else, okay? So there you go. We've made that change to our Earth there. Now, at this point in time, I'm looking at this photo and it looks like he's just like the window's open, okay? What I want to do is I want to place something where that window is so that it looks like there's an actual window there, okay? And how we're going to do that, we're going to hit File, Open, and we're going to find the photo of that moisture on the window, okay? Really cool. I'm going to hit Control T again so I can resize it. Actually, we want to move it first. I'm sorry. We're going to click and we're going to drag it again. Drop it into place. And there we go. Now, if you need to, you can move it around on your layers here. If it showed up like that, just make sure that it goes below the man. Now, don't drag it directly below that clipping layer, or else those color changes that we made with our curves are going to attach itself to that, okay? All right. So we want to have that. and Control T. And it's a large photo, so I'm going to have to zoom out to resize it and move it into place. Okay. And I want to take up the whole window. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on just the bottom window. Because to have a streak go through that middle, the wood plank between the panes doesn't look quite right. So there's that. Okay. Additionally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste. Copy, paste. Okay. And that gives me another set. Somehow I did a clipping layer on that. I don't want a clipping mask on that one. Okay. And again, just find a spot. You don't want it to look exactly the same. I'm just going to find a spot where that fits. Okay. And I'm going to hide the other layer there. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to make sure that it doesn't show the bottom of this, so it doesn't bleed in that bottom layer of that pane. So again, if I do a layer mask on it, follow me with this. We go to a brush. We make sure that black is showing. Increase your brush size. In this case, I want to check my brush and I want to turn up my hardness on it because I don't need the feathering around it. And I'm just going to drag it through the bottom of that pane. Okay. So there we go. And I'm going to bring back the bottom one. It looks a little funky there. I think on the bottom one, I think I'm going to rotate it. So again, Control T. There we go. Okay. So there we go. What I'm going to do next is right here on our layer with the top pane, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer mask and I'm going to apply it to the picture. So that way the layer mask is not going to be separate from the photo. They're going to become one now. So if I right click on the layer mask down here and I click apply layer mask, you can see that it applies it to the photo. There is no such thing as a layer mask anymore. It's just use that layer mask to affect that photo completely. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to merge both of these two layers together so that any change that I make to one, it will make the same change to the other. So I am going to merge. I'm going to click the top one, make sure that the bottom pane is right below it. We're going to right click and I'm going to click merge down. So what it's done now is it's taken those two and it's put them together onto one layer. In fact, if I wanted to, I can call this window moisture. Okay. All right. Now, the problem that you see probably with this is you can't see through it now. You can't see the earth behind it. And that's what we're going to affect right now. If you click again on your window moisture combined layer at this point, we're going to click right here. This is your blending options. And actually you can go through them and it will show you kind of what it does. And the blending options allow you to kind of see through the top layer and allow you to see the back layer behind it as well. Personally, I like the screen. I think screen works pretty well, but you can go through this and see what works for you. Obviously there's some that work and some that work a whole lot less. Okay. But again, I'm going to end up on screen. Okay. Personally, for me, it's a little bit too solid. So again, I'm going to go to the opacity right next to where it says screen, and I'm going to take that slider down. Okay. I'm going to probably end up around 53%. 50% I think is good. Okay. There we go. So we got our window moisture, we got our man at the window, we got the earth behind it. What I want to do now, though, is I want to adjust the light in that man layer to reflect basically the blue coming from the earth photo behind it. Okay, so how I can do that is I can go to adjustment. I can go to color balance. All right, bear with me just a second here. My music ran out on me. There we go. What I can do is I can go to color balance, I can go to adjustments, and I can change the look of that interior. Okay. Now, again, I want this to be a clipping layer, so it's only affecting this photo back here with the guy in it. I don't want it to affect the earth, because any more blue that I put on that earth is going to I have to adjust that in the man layer too. So to do that while you're in an adjustment, if you just click this button right here, it's got the little square with the arrow on it. If we click that, and you can see that it's going to just affect the layer with the guy on it. Okay, so whatever I do, it's not affecting the one behind it. Okay, so go ahead and play around with that. Get it to where you want it. Again, I want to show off the blues. You can go to your highlights as well. I just don't want it too blue. Okay, and again, right up here, you can click that, the tone, you can change shadows, midtones, and highlights. Okay, shadows are going to change the darker areas of your photo. Midtones, obviously, just the spots in the middle, and then highlights are going to be your lighter areas of your photo as well. Okay, and I just want to add a little bit of blue to all of it. All right. Oh, I took out some blue on that. There we go. Okay. All right. One more thing I want to do. Okay. So there we go. That looks great. There's one more thing that we want to do here. Okay. And what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to create a new layer. If you hit this little plus button down here. Okay. Now this layer, we're going to find our burn and our dodge tool. Again, if you right click this one here, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 tools down. More than likely you'll have the dodge tool, which looks like a little magnifying glass, or the burn tool there. And what these do is the dodge tool will allow you to lighten up areas, where the burn tool will allow you to darken areas of your photo. Okay, you're going to test this out. I want I'll make a larger brush here. Okay, and I want to darken out this outside part, and maybe I need to do it directly on the photo. There we go. My bad. So don't add that layer. You can actually just delete it. Go directly on the photo itself. And I'm going to darken out this just to bring more focus to the actual photo here. Okay. And any changes that you make to that you don't like, again, Control Z is going to be your friend. Okay. All right, now I'm just affecting the layer with the man on it. And in fact, you can see that if I'm trying to do it on the window area there, it's not doing anything because there's nothing there. That's where the mask is, okay? So we're just darkening things up. If you want to lighten things up, again, go to your dodge tool. You can lighten up some areas as well, okay? There you go. That's where we want to be. Again, that last added layer, we don't need that one. I'm going to delete that layer. That didn't quite work right the way that we wanted it to, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens in Photoshop. So anyway, that's where we're at. Again, we can see where we started. I didn't create a duplicate to begin with, but we can open up the original. File, open. There we go. So that's where we started. That's where we ended. I'd say that's pretty good. Okay. So once you're completely done with that, we're going to hit File. We're going to go Export, Quick Export as PNG. We are all done with that. I'm going to say man in space. I'm going to save that. That's going to get turned into Google Classroom. And that's a wrap. So there you go. That is tutorial number 3. We learned about clipping masks. We learned about dodge and burn tools. We learned about layering some layer masks some more. We also learned about some adjustment layers too. But that should take us through lesson 3. So we'll have an assignment that kind of ties into this where you can create your own surreal scene. And I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with. But keep creative, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.